Hannah, how are the 3 early adopter groups going?
So the early adopter groups, we've been involved in all 3. So we've got the ski group, which is strategy, KPI and investment.
Cool.
We've got the collaboration group and also the governance group as well. So there are 3 groups that we're working towards.
Cool. And what is the overall aim of the 3 groups?
So the groups have been set up in order to help shape the way Sport Wales work with governing bodies, because in the past it was seen as maybe a parent-child kind of relationship, but now we want to move to a relationship which is based on support and also trust.
Cool, that sounds good to me. So how are the collaboration group doing?
So the collaboration group, we've stormed ahead and we've completed our toolkit, which has been really useful. So we had 3 sports set up on there. So it's ourself, triathlon and also rugby. We were chosen because we've set up great collaboration relationships with other bodies in the past. So we utilised those schemes in order to look at what makes great collaboration. So we've come up with, it's about 10 themes that we're looking to utilise when setting up those partnerships. From there, we have developed some supporting resources. So we've got the collaboration programme toolkit and also a detailed project plan along with 3 case studies from each of the sports. And we've used those moving forward within golf to set up a really complex collaboration with 6 other other partners as well. So you've got 3 charities involved in that, an additional sport and also a university. And it was great the other day we had a meeting based on the collaboration resource and they've all found that really useful when developing the relationship.
Cool. So what's next for the collaboration group then?
So the next stage of this will be to work with Sport North Wales, so the regional entity which has been set up to look at ways in which we can work with that organisation in terms of our national governing body role.
Cool, okay, great. And then looking at the ski group then, the strategy, KPI and investment group, what have they been up to?
So that group has gone on quite a long journey, I must admit. We've had quite a few meetings. So to start off with, so the first aim is strategy.
Okay.
So everyone on the group has taken learning from their strategies that they've set up within their organisation, and we've come up with a really nice resource based on sort of 10 top tips to developing a strategy, and it also includes some case studies as well. So that's going to be really useful for governing bodies setting up their new strategies as and when they do it.
Great.
So looking on to the second aim, which is performance, so KPIs. Again, we've gone on a long journey with that. We were originally looking at a suite of measures and looking at the tools that were out there so that we could use basically one tool to measure those suite of measures. However, we came away from that because we just literally couldn't agree, because we thought that sport is more of a complex system. So if we accept that it's a complex system which is supported by the whole system, so getting more people participating in sport, and not attributing one slice of the cake to a particular organisation, because that creates a really competitive culture between the sports and would often be won by those sports who are able to provide the best data, which is basically a little bit unfair. So we decided to look at a complexity-friendly approach. So within that approach, it's looking at what are the great behaviours, what are the high-performing organisations, those behaviours that they display. So for example, if we take learning as a high-performance behaviour, you would expect the governing body to collect the data that they wish, but utilise that data to show improvements. They're not collecting it to prove. So collecting data to improve and not to prove.
Wow, that sounds really different. And then what about the third aim of the ski group? What about the investment bit?
So the investment bit, to be honest, we haven't done much on that yet, but we're working with Sport Wales over the next few months in line with the strategy as well, looking at that new investment model.
Okay, cool. And so there's one more group left, the governance group. How are they doing?
So as you can see, I've been to a lot of meetings over the past year and a half, but it's been great personal development. That's all I can say. But yeah, so the third group is the governance group. So we're looking at a new partner assurance framework. And what we were really keen at the start is to produce that framework, which is going to be really useful for governing bodies to use so that they can strive to really improve their governance structures within the organisation. So we wanted it to come away from being a tick box exercise. Okay. So we started off looking at what are the minimum standards that we want, or Sport Wales would want to see for governing bodies in order to gain investment. So we've come up with that. We've also looked at lots of different assurance frameworks that are already out there and map that to check that we're not missing anything. And so we've done that and again come up with those minimum standards. So what we thought as well, because there are a lot of governing bodies that have different lines of investment from say £500 right up to £400,000. So we thought it would be a little unfair to expect the lower funded governing bodies to reach all of those minimum standards. So we're looking at a tiered approach for those. So there's 4 tiers within there with different ranges of investment and what Sport Wales and the government would want to see in terms of making sure that financial investment is secure within that governing body. So we've come to that stage and now we're also looking at a really useful sort of tool, maybe an online tool, that is going to be beneficial to the organisations when uploading that data. As well as that, so there is a crossover and we're keen not to have lots of different tools out there, but to have one tool that fits all. So we've got linking to assurance, you've got equality and also safeguarding, really important parts of that. Mm-hmm. So we want that system to maybe work with those frameworks so it feeds into each other so there's no repetition anymore. Wow. So that's where we are so far.
Gosh, it sounds like the 3 groups have been really busy.
Yeah.
How are they all going to join up in the end?
So it's quite funny sitting on all 3 of the groups. We've gone through a long journey, but it's really nice as the meetings are now less because you've got the ski group potentially meeting with the governance group, because we've been looking at behaviours in both of those meetings, and because I've been involved in it, I've been able to say, come on, let's get together now, because we're working on very similar things, so everything should feed into each other, and we're going to use the collaboration toolkit to do it.
Wow, cool. It's all coming together, it's all joined up, which is great to see. Well, thank you for an update on the NGB early adopter groups.
No problem, thank you.